What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sideline Sports. I am your host, Trevor. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and remember to hit the bell notification. It will let you know when the podcast is up and ready to view. Today, for the 100th episode, I am very lucky to have Matt Steinmetz here from 95.7 The Game to go over some Warrior talk with me. Super excited to have you here, Matt. Thank you for coming on and spending your time. I know you're very, very busy.
Yeah, not that busy. So isn't that what Rick Sutcliffe said on that broadcast that got him in trouble? No, happy to do it, man. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, and hopefully only onward and upward from here.
Yes, sir.
But we'll see how it goes. So, all right, let's I guess kind of get into it. I wanted to talk a little bit more, and I wanted to get your opinion because, of course, I hear you on the radio all the time. I call in, I talk for a few minutes, but I would love to hear not only what your feelings are about the Warriors making the playoffs, and when I say that, I don't mean just the play-ins, but actually the playoffs, 6 seed or better. And what may prevent that from happening along the way if they don't? I know getting Butler in on the team kind of and their schedule in relation to their schedule, they're probably I think they have the ninth easiest schedule in the league right now. So I think with all those things put together, they have a good chance of getting to the 6 seed. But there are some things that might limit them along the way. I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that just a little bit.
Um, yeah, I think they can get to six. I think they can get to seven. I'm not sure they can get to six. I think the numbers to get to six would be pretty good, like 20 and 7-ish, something like that. They have 27 games left. Look, the one thing about this team moving forward and what they can do and what they can't do, um, the reality of the situation is nobody knows. Like nobody knows how good this team is or how not good it is. We've only seen them play 4 games together. So there's a great unknown with them moving forward that's interesting because I think fan wise, before the trade, most Warrior fans were in a little bit of a malaise, like the team kind of. That's what it felt like. I might be overstating a little bit of a minority rather than a majority, but that's kind of the way it feels. But so moving forward with the Warriors, they do have a lot of road games. Their schedule's pretty friendly, but they're gonna have to win 2 out of 3 games to even get up to 7 or 8, probably. So can they do it? Yeah, they can do it, but the way they've done it is they haven't allowed themselves very much room for error right now. If I know you're talking about getting to six. I mean, to me, if you get to seven, that's really good because that ensures you at least 2 cracks at a home game to get into the playoffs. You should be able to win 1 out of 2 home games. So seven is a nice place to get. Eight's a little trickier, for sure, but I think they could get up to 8. I think 8 and 7 would be the realistic goals right now, with 6 being a possibility if this team wins 3 out of 4 games coming in, like they just did with Jimmy Butler. If essentially this could sustain, then I think they could get to 6.
Sure. My feeling is they're sitting at 10 now, and I'm just looking at the standings right now, and they're sitting at 10, 28, and 27, a little better than 500, but they did win 3 of the last 4, right, with Jimmy Butler on the team. He's getting to the line a lot. The schedule's getting easier. And the number 6 spot is the Clippers at 31 and 23. It's not that far off. I hear what you're saying about having to win maybe three out of every 4 games or whatnot. But there are other teams that could possibly fall off and then maybe make that path a little easier, though, right?
Yeah, I wish I could access if you look at last year, the Warriors at one point were 19-24. Okay.
Hmm.
I'd love to see where they were in the standings at that. I should know where they were in the standing because that was the low point of last year. They were 5 games under 500.
Right. I would tell
Because
you
what did they even end up? What did they end up?
in last year,
Yeah, seating.
they ended up in the. Let's look it up.
I know. See,
Let's find out because I think they ended up in the very final play-in.
well,
So
we could figure it out. They
I,
were at SAC, right?
yeah, and I'm pretty sure they were in the final spot in the final seed of the play-in, which is 10, I believe.
And
So they were at SAC and they lost that game and then they were out.
so
So
think about this. They were 5 games under. They like people forget they won. They went 27-12 last year to finish the season.
yeah,
So my point is that they were probably 11 or 12. They won 27-12 and didn't move up very much because the teams above them were playing well and pretty good. So that's the one thing I'm concerned about. Like I feel like the numbers are working against them in terms of climbing the standings. And like I'll give you Phoenix is in trouble, but uh Phoenix could be in trouble, but Friday's game against Sacramento is big.
yeah,
But they've won a couple games since they've made the trade, so they're not falling apart, or at least as of yet. So they're tied with Sac now. I'm not looking at the standings. So they could leapfrog Sac, and then who do they have? Like
well,
Minnesota,
I
I
mean,
think.
you look at Maverick. Look at the Mavericks. Okay, they just got rid of
Well,
Luka.
yeah.
They're playing. They still played pretty good without him, but I still think that team has room to fall off a little bit, in my opinion. But
Well, if Anthony Davis is going to be out 3 or 4 weeks, they're
yeah,
in trouble. Not in trouble, but yeah, it's going to be hard for them to move up.
right. And then
They'll
you have the
probably move down.
Timberwolves in the number 7 seed. So that's what you're talking about. Maybe getting a
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Apparently, the Timberwolves have the most favorable schedule of all the Western Conference teams coming in.
that
That's
I
what,
did not know.
yeah, that's what my producer told me earlier in the show.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
earlier in the day. So I mean, I'm just kind of taking his word for it. I'm not sure. They've actually been playing better without Julius Randle. So,
Well, I mean, I look at
still
I
a pretty good team.
yeah, I mean, they're you're right. It will be tough with the I keep looking at the Mavericks and the Timberwolves, and as I'm looking at the Mavericks, part of me feels like they could fall off, but the last few games I saw them play without Luca, they almost looked better. So I'm kind of, but they don't have Davis there, and so there's
Right.
going to be some down games without him. And I do feel like he's obviously throughout the years he's been that kind of player who has been out for a considerable amount of time off and on. So yeah,
They've got more than just his injury. They've got all kinds of injuries. Lively's out, Gafford's out.
yeah,
Say PJ Washington's not even healthy. I don't know, but they're going to really have to make a push if these guys do get back.
yep, yep. So I do think um I do agree with you. Maybe it is 7. But it would be great if they could get to 6. But you're right. I mean, the Clippers are sitting there at 6. Clippers are playing good ball right now. Be
That's the
tough
team
to see
nobody's
them.
talking about.
Yeah,
Nobody's talking about the Clippers. And to me, I'm starting to think they could be dangerous because, they got Kawhi on a minutes thing, but he's been playing well in the time that he's been playing.
mhm.
So I don't think they're gonna hit. I don't think they're gonna have a losing streak. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. They're not going to drop off enough for the Warriors to catch them. Maybe not. Maybe not. It's hard to say with Kawhi because I haven't seen him play much over the years. Obviously,
Yeah,
he plays all right, but like you said, he's on a minutes restriction. How long? That's the point I kind of wanted to bring up as well, because some of the key factors that I was thinking about that would stop the Warriors from making it to that 7-8 spot. The number one thing is the health of the players. And so I'm looking at players like Kawhi and thinking, all right, if this guy's healthy, but can he stay healthy? Will he stay healthy for a year? So even if he comes off minutes restrictions, how long before he hurts himself again? Is it 2, 3 games, or is he going to last? So these are all questions that I think about, but no matter what, the Clippers are playing good ball. So that's tough. It's tough to get there. I would like to see the Warriors just get out of a playing game because the one thing that I know
Sure.
about the Warriors is when they play one game, they're not very good at winning that one game to get in the playoffs. It's been historically speaking, that's been the case. Kerr
Right.
typically is able to kind of figure things out and give a good series, win or lose, throughout a 7 game series or even a 5 game series. But when it comes down to one game, the Warriors aren't very good at that. So I'm
Well,
not really super
that's
excited.
why that's why at least you want two shots at it.
Yeah,
No, you
yeah.
want that's why it's important to get up to eight at least, because then
Even
you're
if you
getting,
lose, you got another
yeah,
shot.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have to, yeah, I'd have to agree. That still makes me nervous, but at least it's something. I do think that, I'll say one thing. I do think that the trade for Jimmy Butler turned out to be a fantastic trade. It was a good swing. And in my opinion, that kind of goes on to the next question, which is like, are they championship ready? I think after what we just discussed, the answer is probably not. I still think they're 1 or 2 players away because Jimmy Butler, as much as he gives you in the paint, as much as he gives you in that mid range, he's very good at that, but he's not a 3 point shooter. And unless you have another power forward or somebody out there that can shoot a 3 pointer, that may be the problem for the Warriors. And I'm just, what do you think? I mean, do you think they're still 1 or 2 players away from really making a push? Is it one of those things where maybe next year, the year after, we're seeing, or most likely next year, if at all, next year would be the year where they have an offseason to really kind of retool a little bit and really go for it? Or do you think that there's an outside chance they could win it this year? I mean, with the way they're structured right now.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess the way I'd answer that is never say never.
Yeah.
So I don't think they can win a championship. I mean, I don't see it on multiple levels. But look, you can convince you can make a list of pros and cons and come up with 10 cons. There's always going to be one pro, and it's going to be, you know, part of the pedigree. It's going to be they did it in 2022 when nobody thought they would do it. They've shocked the world before. They've been counted out before, and the reality is it's all true. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm worried to shut the door completely. But if you take out kind of intangibles and feelings and kind of emotion, I just don't see how they can do it. I mean,
Yeah.
I was doing some uh, numbers. I mean, this core, when the playoffs start, they're going to be 37, 35, and 35. Curry, Green, and Butler.
Yeah.
And if you look at all the great teams or teams that it's like they don't like 34 and 35 is the oldest that the best players are on a great team. Usually. It doesn't mean it's going to happen all the time, but so I see that and I think about the NBA now where guys are getting load managed and they're more careful than aggressive with with these kind of things. I see the money being so spectacular that the goal now is to figure out how to just stay in the league for as long as you can.
Yeah, I
And
mean, you see LeBron doing it. He says he's going
yeah,
to play
the
another
way
7 years, and he probably could, but not at a. I
right,
mean, not at a. I mean, coming off the bench or whatever, not at a high level. I do hear
exactly.
you with that. I hear you that, and you can see it with Curry. I mean, anybody like you said, and this is kind of why I was excited about talking with you a little bit because you're the kind of guy who can take the emotion out of it. I'm a Bay Area fan. I grew up here. I'm not going to say that I'm not a homer a little bit. I am, but I can take my emotion out of what I see with the teams and just look at it for what it is. I don't think the
Right.
Warriors win a championship this year either, barring somebody that steps up like Jordan Poole did when they did win the championship. Maybe Kuminga comes in and he's on fire for a month. I've never seen it before. I don't believe
Right.
it'll happen. If he is, then hey, that just it makes your chances that much better. But he is not a perimeter shooter, and that's what they're lacking big time. So that's kind of why I don't see I Moody, maybe Moody start the one thing about Moody, I will say, he isn't a scorer. I mean, he's not consistent, but what is consistent with him is his energy level on the court. So maybe
I
that
mean, you know what? Yeah, you got to give him that. I mean, when he plays, he's he's going to
he's
be a
giving you
pro.
everything
He's a
when he's on the court.
professional.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if that can turn into points it's when the playoffs show up, anything can happen. You know that. I mean, Jimmy Butler's big in the playoffs, but they are aging. Like you said, how many more cracks at this are they going to get? So I think that's why I keep bringing up next year because I feel like next year is that time where it's now or never. Because after that, I mean, I don't see Curry could turn into you know a a good supplemental player for somebody else, but he's not going to lead this team in the sense of a true leader in 2 years from now. He's barely able to do it now. There are circumstances around that, like obviously the players that he has alongside him.
Right.
But anyway, I just think they're not really ready for that. Um, so yeah, they're a couple players away, and that is what it is. But it'll be exciting either way. So that kind of does move. That kind of I can transition on to Buddy Hield now. So can he wake up? Maybe he's the key to it. What is up with Buddy Hield when he can go into a 3-point contest and look fantastic, but it doesn't transition onto the court? Is it mental? Is it that he's being guarded because now he's with the Warriors and Steph Curry's got this other guy who can hit a 3-pointer and teams are seeing that and keying up on him, so he's not getting the looks that he got with the Pacers. What is it that's really giving Buddy Hield a problem? Because this doesn't really
I
look,
mean,
you
that's
know,
just that's a good question. I mean, he came in. What? Let me look real quick. Do you know his number offhand? What he's shooting from the feet, what from three? I can tell you right
last
now.
time I checked, it was like 26%. It was not good. I don't know what
No,
he,
no, no. Buddy Hield shooting 36%.
oh, 36. Okay.
36
All
from
right.
three. Now he's a career 40. He's a 40%er from the 3-point line. So he's not shooting the ball well. But the problem, and this is the one thing I was thinking about. The issue with the Warriors is they're not a great 3-point shooting team. Whether you like it or not, Wiggins represented for the last couple years 2 or 3. He was pretty solid from three. He was high 30s.
Yeah.
So you got rid of Wiggins, who quite frankly was your best or second best 3-point shooter, because Steph's been dropping a little bit. So there have been times when Wiggins has kind of led him with the 3-point ball.
Yeah.
He's gone. As little as he played Lindy Waters. He's gone.
Yeah.
Dennis Schroeder. I thought Schroeder was kind of starting to figure it out. And
Yeah.
he was
They didn't give him enough time for
I
sure, but
know, and he was a 3-point threat at least.
yeah.
And all right, not so much Kyle Anderson, but they lost 3 guys who shot the three, and they got a player who didn't.
Right.
So the issue with Buddy Hield is for the Warriors to be to you know like he's become hugely important for this team
Yeah.
because he's the only other 3-point threat really than Steph.
Yeah.
And if and that's why I tell the fans, you better get used to Steve Kerr giving Buddy Hield an automatic 20 minutes a night because we've got to see if it's a game where he's making threes because we can't give that up if he is.
I agree. And the thing is you don't have anywhere else to go. The bottom line is that if
Exactly.
he's not hitting 3-pointers, you're not going very far in the playoffs. So what is Steve Kerr going to do? You're right. He's going to load them up on minutes and say, keep shooting until you get out of this funk. I don't care if you shoot the ball 10 times a game, but as long as we're winning or
Right.
keeping it close, I want you to keep shooting until you figure this out because this isn't how you used to play. You're playing that way now. This has to be. And that's why I ask, is it mental? Because in my mind, this seems like such a mental thing for him where he doesn't have confidence. I see him, if you watch those games, and I know you do, you look at the way he shoots the ball, and he's almost second guessing whether, even in an open shot, he's second guessing whether he should dump the ball to somebody else or shoot it most of the time. Sometimes, if he's really pressing, he's just going to throw up a really bad shot that doesn't make any sense. And so, but he's missing, there are shots he's missing the entire hoop altogether. He's just airballing it. And I'm watching it and I'm just thinking this, there has to be a confidence issue or something going on with him to where if that's the case, you can get out of that. If you start shooting well, you can get out of that and you can start moving forward and forget that ever happened. But the only way out of that is to keep shooting. So
Exactly.
they're
And
gonna,
that's all. And with all due respect, that's all he does.
yeah.
And that's really that's
He's
all
not
he
a
does.
defensive guy, which scares me because again, one of the losing Wiggins, actually, we lost some
Yeah.
defense, I think, as well too. So the one another thing that scares me is the defense, or the lack thereof. Sometimes they lock it down and they're good. I think with Jimmy Butler, actually, even though I'm not really, I think he's a decent defender. Is he an elite one? No, I think he's decent, and I think he brings a little bit of toughness to the team, and that helps. But I do think we lost a little on defense when we made that trade as well. I still am glad we made it because in the end, having Butler on the team maybe will attract some other players in the offseason. Maybe they're gonna, I mean, obviously they're a better team with him, but they're going to have to make up for some shortcomings because of it. And one of that is the 3-point line, the other is the defense. So,
I mean, they've struggled to keep guys in front of them on the perimeter. And that's the one thing Wiggins was pretty good at. There's no doubt. Um, Quite frankly, looking forward to watch Butler play night in and night out to see what kind of defender he is because there's no way he can be a 21 a night, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, and be a great defender. Like I'd be shocked, at this point. But so I
yeah.
want to see where he's at.
Well, he'll
You
burn out
know,
if that is the case. If you're right and he
I'm
does
sure he's
end up
fine.
doing that, but
And I don't pretend to, know what he is
yeah,
on a scale of 0 to 100. And that's why, like, that's the other thing. Like, you think like, what a player is and what he does, but you never know until you see him play a season. The guy's got to play a season before you can, like, make any judgment on him. And you can't look at a guy's numbers and, like,
yeah,
know exactly. Anyway, so they're, and here's the other thing. So they lost probably their best um, defensive point of attack guy. Let's put it that way. And everybody says, well, that's where Kuminga comes in. Kuminga can do, and he can to a degree, but there's a difference when you think of Kuminga. Oh, he can D up. When you close your eyes, what do you imagine? You imagine him picking somebody up in the backcourt, right? And maybe
yeah,
turning him, making him work a little bit to get it up, trying to hound him. And then, if you force a turnover, that's unbelievable. But really, take up some time on the shot clock and make this guy initiate the offense from much further out. And you're long and he's a little, okay,
yeah,
like I get that. But that is not even close to um, defending in the paint, and your man cuts out on the perimeter to catch and shoot a three. I mean, it's not even close to the same thing. So, I think they lost something defensively too, but it might get lost if they're, better offensively.
yeah. I mean, so okay, so when I was watching players like, well, I can't really compare Kaminga to too many people, but when I watch him play defense or when I see him with the ball in his hand, for some reason, sometimes I feel like he kind of looks like a baby giraffe. Sometimes I feel like he's like on skates. Like I don't see it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me what you see. But when I see him play, sometimes I see a guy who's holding up D, and he's kind of just. It almost seems like he's just not. I just don't see him posting up solid D, like you're saying. It seems like he's moving, his legs are moving faster than his brain is sometimes, and sometimes I feel like he's just kind of a little bit all over the place, not too bad, but a little bit. And when I see that, I see, I mean, yes, he can go up. I've seen him block. He's great at blocking shots. He is good at defending to a certain extent, but he's not a lockdown defender, like you said. I The best we can hope for is that Kuminga keeps the guy in front of him and pushes him back a little bit and makes that guy shoot the ball from 2 or 3 further away than he was going to. Um, so I don't. Although I'm okay with Kuminga, I'm not. It doesn't make me feel a million times better him being on the court and the defense being a lot better. I don't. I keep thinking back to Wiggins with his defense because he was a really good, I felt like a really good lockdown defender. He kept the guy right in front of him at all times. He was able to keep up with him. There wasn't too many times he got burned. Sometimes he did.
Yeah.
Sometimes he did. But for the most part, he
Well,
was pretty good.
the interesting thing is, what was it? Oh, Wiggins you're right. Wiggins doesn't get beat badly too often. Hold
No.
on, let me put this away. But he did against the Lakers and that Austin Reeves drive.
Well, that's the one I was
To me,
thinking of. And so that's why I
that
said
said it
he,
all
yeah,
because Kuminga had his back turned.
I know.
So
Yep.
you had one guy, Wiggins, your best defender, and Reeves got by him, made a good move, which doesn't happen all the time. But there's Kuminga with his back turned, and
Yeah.
that can cost you here and there. Like the other thing about Wiggins is, you can't teach 10 years of experience now in the league. Um, he knows the ins and outs, and he just knows how to play. I mean, the thing that's always been frustrating to me, fan wise, about Kuminga, like Kuminga's never frustrated me as a player, or as him as a player, me as an observer.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just have a great amount of um, uh, what I recognize or what I think is very important is that he did pick up the game late. Okay. So he not only picked up the game late, which just by nature will push your development back later.
Yeah.
And so to me, this is the way I look at him. He came into the league at 18, but he had no foundation,
Yeah.
like none, like zero. And he found himself on a really good team. And so it's just like we can't do this.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like he's 4 years behind where where he would have been had he grown up in the United States, started playing at 8 or 9.
Yeah. I
So
mean, you're right.
like right now I kind of look at him as an 18-year-old.
I
And like
agree.
you better figure out like what you want to do. You have to think about him when he's 26. To me.
Yeah, but
That's me.
by then it's okay. So that's and I agree with you 100%. But that's exactly why I'm on the fence. I don't dislike Kuminga. I think he's a great asset. I would love for the Warriors to keep him and see where that goes. My problem is exactly that. I have to think of it as if he's 4 years behind already because the Warriors didn't care enough at that point in time, maybe, or didn't have the time, or whatever the reason was. Or maybe he just didn't pick it up. There's a million different reasons why he wasn't coming along as fast as he is now. But we don't have 3 years. If you want to wait 3 years to see how he's going, that's great. But you can't, then don't rely on him to be the guy or even the number 2 guy to Steph Curry, which is what a lot of people are talking about Kuminga being either this year, or progressing this year into that role. It's not happening. And so my frustration is with a lot of fans and people I talk to is that they think that he's right there. to taking over that spot, being the guy
Right.
next to Steph Curry. And that's not true. It's not true. He will be a great asset to this team as a 3, 4, 5 guy, whatever it might be for a little while. And then maybe he does take a step up and he's a really, really valuable part of the starting five of this team. But I don't see him as a leader of a team right now. And I don't know that I would really, just from my intuitions, which could be wrong, whatever. My intuitions say he's never going to be a Steph Curry or a Kobe Bryant or a whoever you want to compare him
Well,
his basketball style.
I mean, I like when I talk about Kuminga, when I think about Kuminga, I really try to be careful about what I think he might be, but I don't think there's any doubt. Like that isn't it. He ain't never gonna be Curry. He ain't never gonna be Kobe Bryant. He'll never be LeBron. He'll never be Bird. He'll never be Magic. He'll never be he's got no chance to be that
Is he a
because
Kawhi? Because
he's
that's the
got
name I
two.
hear.
Okay, Kawhi is at least a little bit different, but Kawhi's going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Kawhi is going to the Hall of Fame. I mean, so let's just, you got to be careful about like how great you think he can be. I'm kind of with you. I To me, what it comes down to is just the way the game is. If Jonathan Kuminga were on the Warriors and you could just keep him and you didn't have to worry about paying him or anything, you'd be like, yeah, we're fine. Like, there's no big deal. Like, Kuminga's gonna be with us for 10 years. I mean, just is, and he's gonna get better, and we know it. But there's the issue with this money.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the more I think about it, the more, well, here's the thing.
He cannot be paid $225 million
Well, that's not gonna happen.
contract. That's
But
crazy.
but here's the thing. If Joe Lacob says, and I got to get the particulars in this too, but if they know they're going to have to go into the luxury tax to sign him, like let's
Yeah.
say, and I don't know this, but
Yeah.
let's say if they get Jonathan Kuminga for 18 million a year, they barely go into the tax. Okay, so they pay a little penalty. Even if Joe Lacob said, we'll pay any penalty, we don't even care. This is what we think. If they thought they were sitting with Anthony Edwards, they'd go into the tax.
Well,
They
sure.
they give him a cut, they give him the most.
Yep.
So that's where if it is true that like the money kind of doesn't matter once you pay him a certain amount, well, then it doesn't matter. He's going to be on the team and he's going to make a lot of money. But I'm not convinced there's going to be another team that's going to have anywhere near that kind of money in the off season. Like, I mean, are the Brooklyn
Even
Nets?
if they did, Matt, even if they
Yeah,
did, would they pay him that? I don't think another team's gonna, even if they had that kind of money to say, we'll give you. I mean, what team is gonna give Kuminga that money? I know that he would have a lot of interest throughout the league, no doubt. But I think, I mean, I can't imagine a team giving up that kind of money for him because you're mortgaging everything else. If the Warriors give him that kind of money, then you're telling Steph Curry, this is your team. Go try win a chip, and if you can't, well, it is what it is. We're done here.
yeah. I mean, on that one, my prediction would be that I think let's that's not a big deal, but like I think he's gonna get a contract lower than most people think. I
Yeah,
don't think I don't think he's gonna make as much as people think he's gonna make. But if he ends up a Warrior, who cares? Basically.
depends. Depends on how much we're talking, though. I mean, is that how you feel? I mean, I don't know.
Well,
It depends
well
because I don't
again,
know. I don't know. Okay, do you
I mean,
know?
I wouldn't, but
Yeah,
if you want to get specific, I mean, yeah, I'd try to get him for 3 years and 75 million.
I'm my mind. I was
Maybe,
thinking 70, 75, 80
maybe
million. That's what I'm thinking. Any
that
more?
might even be that might even be too much.
It
I
is
mean, the
because
other thing is he's not even a starter in the NBA, and
yeah,
who coming off anybody's bench makes $30 million a year?
yeah.
Doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't happen, and I don't think it's going to happen here. So we'll see. I know we're running a little bit past the 30 minutes I told you. Um, just a quick
I didn't
conversation.
even know you told me 30.
I
You
think
should.
I said 30, but I'll go for as long as you will talk to me.
Uh,
So,
we're good. We're
so
good.
let's talk a little bit about Kevin Knox, ninth overall
We're,
pick in
we're going to
2018.
have to talk a little bit about Kevin Knox
Okay.
because I haven't seen him since he got drafted in
Yeah.
what, 5 years ago?
He
He was
was
like
drafted in
number
2018 as a number nine
more
pick.
than that. Number nine pick. Yeah.
2018, and this is a let me give you the path here. Knicks 2018 to 2022, Hawks
Hawks.
22, then the Pistons 22-23, the Blazers in
Yeah.
23, then back to the Pistons 23-24, then Rip City 24 G League for the Blazers. So back to the Blazers basically. Then 24 to now Santa Cruz Warriors to the 10-day contract. He's bouncing around a lot, but I don't know if you know the numbers in the G League, so I'm just going to give them to you, see what you think. 21.6 points per game, 8 rebounds a game. His blocks are basically zero, and he's shooting 49.9% from the 3-point line. So maybe that's why we're going to see what he's got. But he's bounced around an
Shooting
awful lot. I don't know if
50%.
that's because
He's
of
shooting
circumstance.
50% from three.
49.9%.
From three.
Yes. I just looked it up before I jumped on phone with you because I wanted to know what this guy is doing in the G League for the last few days because I figured if I'm talking to you, we should know what his numbers
Well,
are.
you did. You worked harder on it than me.
So it does well then, so I'm telling you. So in the G League right now, 49.9% from three. I think that's why he's getting the 10-day contract, probably just to see if he can transition that up to, to the big show. But the only thing I look at, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think Kevin Knox has a lot of potential. I'm not sure if he's been moving around because of circumstance from other trades or if he's just not consistent. It seems to me two things. One, he's got no defense, and two, he's not very consistent. But when he's on, he's on. It's just not consistent. But I'd like to see what he has, and since Kuminga's not back yet, it'd be interesting. It'll be interesting. He's 6'7".
I mean, I think when I think about guys like that, he's bounced around, and it just tells me that maybe he's just a guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's just a guy. And I think, I mean, gosh, I remember him a little bit when he was in Atlanta.
Mhm.
Because I was watching Atlanta a lot, and they got him, but he hardly played there. Um,
I mean,
and they
yeah,
were
he was.
actually, they were better. They were better when he was on the team than they are now. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, I just look at him as like, quite frankly, I look at him as a guy who's just going to fill out a roster. But if
yeah,
you're telling me he's shooting 50% in Santa Cruz from three, well, then there's no doubt, that's why they signed him.
that's what I'm telling you, and that's what I googled. And well, I'm
Ah, see,
gonna
I
do it
knew
right
it.
now, but
I knew it. You looked at the wrong column.
no, 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 nope. I'm telling
Kevin
you,
Knox,
is
field
he?
goal
Are you
percentage.
looking at it? Am I wrong?
Yes, 49.9, 3-point percentage, 39.1.
What's he shooting 49.9% at?
All his field goals.
Oh crap!
Now, 39 is still
But
good.
39 is still pretty good.
I
I thought he
know.
was shooting 49. I was
Hey,
like, holy shit,
hey,
this guy's
the,
actually.
the point stands. He's a good 3-point shooter.
Well, my bad. Yeah, my bad. But I could swear. Okay, when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, this is why this guy's getting brought up.
Yeah, no
He's
doubt.
killing it.
I would
But
have, but
yeah,
three, yeah, look, so that is going to be why, he may play or may not play. Or I'm sorry, that's the reason he may play, obviously.
yeah,
If they think he can, and the thing is about him, so you're telling me he shot 39 in the G League, and some
yeah.
people might be like, well, it's the G League, but you know, he shot 39 in the G League, but he's got he's got NBA experience.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's going to get to the Warriors, and all of a sudden, he's gonna, can he do it here? Well, of course he can do it here
Well,
because
it's not like he's a
played.
nobody because he got drafted in the ninth overall. That gives you some sort of and if you look at the way he's played before, clearly he can do it. It's just a matter of can he be consistent. But you're right. It's just he's really it's filling the roster out until Kuminga comes back. I feel like, but hey, it's 10 days to give him a chance to show something. Who knows?
Yeah,
You look
exactly.
at Quentin Post, and his defense is absolutely horrible. I think, but he's sitting there shooting 3 pointers and he's not nervous or scared. And there's some value to that. So who knows what he,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. If he turns out to be an important player, I'll be surprised.
Yeah. I don't think so either, but man, that kind of killed my conversation because I thought he was shooting 49.9. I messed up and looked at the wrong column. So now 39 is still good though. I still
It
think they're
is.
performing decently to get a shot.
You know what? If he were shooting 49, he would have been caught. They would have signed him earlier, I'll bet.
Probably would have brought him up sooner. That's for damn sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I looked at it and I was looking at it and I don't know, maybe my eyes were crossed, but I stare at computer screens all day anyway. So
I
I'm like,
No biggie. No biggie.
it
I could
doesn't
take a
matter.
cheap shot. I
39.
could take a
At least you
cheap
didn't
shot
tell me
here and say,
55%, man. Then I would
yeah,
be
I
like,
could take a cheap shot and say, now you know what guru feels like, but I won't do it.
yeah, you can whatever. Yeah. Everybody's got to feel like that for a second, but
Yep,
yeah, man.
all of
So
us.
I don't know. It's fine. I'm glad we got to talk a little bit about Kaminga too,
Sure.
because I know that Kaminga is one of those guys. He's an enigma in a way. Like we don't know what he's going to be, and we hope, when he comes back and plays alongside Jimmy Butler, what will that look like? Are they going to gel to? I personally think it'll probably help him. Some people, I mean, I don't know what I mean. Gosh, some people think that that's just not going to work out very well. I don't know
I
if
mean,
they
I don't,
do.
I don't know why it would be so challenging, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's no surprise what Jimmy Butler is as a player, and there's no surprise what Jonathan Kuminga is as a player. And if you think about it, it's like, no, they're not. Why would they have trouble playing with each other? The issue is going to be how does Kuminga play with whoever's on the floor with him, the other four guys, at what time of the game, and what
Yeah.
Kerr expects out of him.
I
I
agree
mean,
with you. What I
like,
would love to see, man, I am really excited just to see Butler and Kuminga play together because both of those guys go to the hoop and they draw fouls. And if they're both on the court, they're gonna give some teams some fits. I mean, it's gonna be a hard day's work for defenses to stop those guys going to the rack so much. So I will say that. It would be nice to see how that plays out. But
well, like, think about this for a minute before I let you go,
yeah.
because I just thought of this. Um, so we don't even know what Kuminga's role is going to be right now, right? I
Right.
mean, I think he's going to come off the bench. I don't know. Maybe he'll start. Who knows?
I think it depends.
But think about this.
No.
He's going to, like, when he's on the court with Butler and with Curry, okay? Think about it, how you'd want him to play. And then think about him if he's on the court with none of those guys, with neither of those guys. How would you want him to play? He's 22. Like, that's really hard. Oh, you want me to be really aggressive and go to the basket and carry us while I'm not playing with Butler. It's my point is this all takes a lot of time, and they don't have a lot of it if they're starting to talk about championship already. There's so much they have to do to start clicking. I mean, really clicking.
Yeah.
I just think people are underestimating it.
I think so too. And so Matt, I know you probably got to go, and I appreciate your time. One thing that I didn't bring up that I would love to have talked to you a little bit more. And maybe if I'm lucky enough for you to come back, we'll talk
Of
more about it.
course. Sure.
Pajimski playing at a little bit higher level. He's starting to come out of his funk. Maybe that will enable Kuminga to become more of an aggressive player when Curry is not on the court, when Butler's not on the court, because then he's got some. The problem is when those guys aren't on the court, Kuminga probably feels like he's got to carry the team. So there's got to be somebody else like Pajemski, like Moody, to step up and be on the court with him. So I mean, those things can alleviate some stress and possibly keep him from trying to press too much.
Well, look,
I don't know.
here's the other thing. Um, Pajemski, Kuminga, Moody, and even Trace Jackson Davis help post. I mean, you must start assessing those. Like we just look at them and say, well, could they be on a well, it's like, no, you got more to assess than them. Like, are they really going to be part of your future?
Yeah,
Because, and I'm not saying, and I don't like when people say, well, if you have Kuminga and Pajemski, how good are you really get? No, it's not about that. It's about do you are you convinced at least you have a core of 5 or 6 guys to keep going forward with? Of course, you're going to need a star, maybe, or
yeah,
maybe it's Kuminga. I don't think it will be, but maybe Kuminga starts playing and Pods does. 2 or 3 years from now, at that point, you can say, we're one. If we get a one now, we're back.
yeah.
Because now that pushes Kuminga down to 2, but he's 27 and he's a really good player at that point. So
Yeah. Well, more to talk about. I could talk with you all night just because that's how I am. But
sure.
anyway, Matt, thank you very much for coming on to the podcast. I really appreciate it. And 100th episode was great because you were here. And we'll do hopefully hundreds more, and we'll get a chance to talk with you more down the road. But I appreciate it, and thank you for your time.
All right, man. No problem. Thanks for having me in mind, and I'll probably talk to you on the show.
You will definitely hear from me.